Hi everyone, this is Mindy Eggen and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I am going to be creating the quickest card fronts I think I have ever done by using the brand new foil transfer cards from Simon Says Stamp. So I will be showing you how to use these transfer cards and also how I turn them into shaker cards. First, I want to show you some of the products that I have here. So these are the foil transfer cards that I will be using. I only have two in this packet because I already created two cards and sent them into Simon Says Stamp. So these are the two that I have left and I'm going to be using today. Now, the thing with these transfer cards, they are on acetate, they are toner printed. Now, obviously, the happy day, you can tell which side is the right side up. But otherwise, on this other one, the side that is more of a matte finish is going to be the side you're applying your foil to. And I'll touch more on that a little later on in the video. But there are a few other products that I really think are worth mentioning right now. This is the Happy Combos Stamp and Coordinating Die Set. I really love this set. I use this on my original cards. I will share those pictures at the end of the video, but this is a really great versatile set, and I love the variety of fonts and sentiments on here. Another set that I think is worth mentioning is the Happy Wafer die. So this is a two-piece die set. It has a shadow layer to go along with the word die. And this I did also use on my original cards. Again, I will share those at the end of the video, but I really think these are worth mentioning. It goes along well with the stamp set that I just shared too. This stamp set, the Wild and Free Flowers, I will be using a sentiment off of this. And I think this is actually from one of their card kits, but I really love the sentiments, the beautiful images. It's another really great versatile stamp set. And then another thing that I really wanted to share with you is this A2 nesting frames. Now, I didn't use this today, but I am definitely seeing myself using this in the future. So I really wanted to mention it if this is something that interests you. It's going to create these thin frames, which I love thin frames or just framing my design. And then last but not least here, I am sharing the foil transfer sheets. So this is the Decofoil. This is the foil you use with your toner, not glimmer foil. So I have two colors. I have yellow and I have rose gold, both of which I will be using today. So I'm going to go ahead and get started on foiling the front of those panels. I took a sheet, one of each out of the packets. You want to really watch it because they sometimes like to stick together. They're very thin. So make sure you have just one of each or one of whatever color you're using. Now I'm just placing my sheet over the top of the foil to trim this design out. I do recommend a long pair of scissors. I think that is very helpful when you are trimming out foil. So I'm going to do this for my other panel as well. Now off on the side, I have my Gina K Designs Fuse foiling system warming up. While that is heating up, I'm going to take my panels. Now, as I had mentioned earlier, there are two sides to this, obviously, and the back side is really, really shiny. The other side is more muted, I guess I would say. The muted side is the side you want to foil. So I did go over the back of my foil and also the front of that toner sheet with a Swiffer cloth to remove any dust specks. I placed my foil over the top of that panel, so it's going to be the right side of the toner sheet up and the pretty side of your foil facing up. Then I placed it in my carrier sheet. And now that my fuse foiling system is warmed up because my green light is on, I'm going to put my carrier sheet through that. The fold needs to go in first. That's going to be your best way to do this so that none of the sides or the open areas of the carrier sheet get caught on the rollers. So I am going to just carefully remove my panel. I'm going to take it out and just set it off on the side of my glass mat and let that cool off for just a moment. So while that's sitting there, I'm going to bring my other panel. This one, you can tell which side is supposed to be right side up because it's got some words on it. I again went over it with a Swiffer cloth to remove any dust or kind of speckles that might be on there. Same thing with my foil. I went over that with my Swiffer cloth. So I placed my foil over the top. Again, it is toner side up and also the pretty side of the foil facing up. Place that into my carrier sheet and run that through, going in folded end first. While that's running through the fuse foiling system, I'm going to go ahead and peel back the foil on my first panel, and you're going to see how absolutely perfect it foiled. It's gorgeous. It's so shiny, and I absolutely love these designs. I'm kind of bummed that I used all my panels already. I may have to go back and order some more. Now, sometimes you might notice a little bit of overfoiling, so I usually will just rub my finger over it to remove any of that excess foil. Now, foiling is probably one of the hardest things to capture the true beauty of it on camera and also in photography, but it is really beautiful. This is the rose gold. I'll be honest, I was not really sold on the rose gold at first. I'm more of a gold person, but I was still going to go ahead and create the card, and it's still very pretty, but I was not 100% sold on that rose gold until I finished my card with my blended background. And I think it actually might be my favorite out of the two. Now, what's really great about these panels, because you can see through to the background, you could put these onto pattern paper. Maybe you did an embossing folder background or an alcohol ink background. There are so many things you could attach those acetate sheets to, but I decided to go with an ink blended panel. So that's what I'm going to do for both backgrounds. I'm going to start off with cherry ink from Simon Says Stamp. I am using a flat blending tool to apply my color. What I really love about the flat tools is, for one, I love that they're flat, and two, they kind of apply a softer look of color, if that makes sense. I go in pretty light-handed, I let that fade off a little bit, and then I'm going to come in with my, gosh, is this Sherbet? I always struggle with these names, but it is the orange. So I'm going to come in with the orange, have that blend into that cherry, also have it kind of fade off a little bit. And then I'm going to come in with a yellow, and this is Zest. I believe this is one of the new yellows that Simon Says Stamp just came out with. Now, down below in the video description, I did link all of the colors that I used. I linked them individually, but these do come in trios, and I do highly recommend getting them in trios. But if you prefer just maybe one or two ink pads, I did link them out separately down below. Now this is my green. This is Limelicious, and I really had to work hard at this color because it needs a serious re-inking. It is one of my favorite greens to use. Next, I'm going to come in with Tropic, and I decided to let this be the end color. I'm not going to add purple down here. For one, I got a little carried away with my colors and I was running out of room, but I decided I was going to make another background for focusing more on the cool tones of the rainbow. But this Tropic color is another one. I don't typically reach for it, but I really, really love it. So that is my partial rainbow background, and now I'm going to bring in another piece of cardstock, and this time I'm going to work on the cool end of the rainbow. I am working on Hammermill cardstock. It is super smooth. It's cut to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. This first color I'm coming in with is Orchid. Again, this is part of a trio, but I did link it individually. Then I'm coming in with Tropic, so I will blend that into my purple, and I'm going to finish it off with the Limelicious. And this is really fun sometimes, to focus more on one end of a rainbow versus trying to fit everything onto your card front. And these colors together, the Orchid, the Tropic, and Limelicious, are such a beautiful blend. So that is going to be my two backgrounds that I'm going to use for these. I was going to do just one shaker card, but I end up doing both because I was just loving it so much. Now, of course, I am going to be splattering my backgrounds. This is the Spellbinders Splatter White. So it's an opaque white. It is a really, really good white for splatters. I am very picky on my white splatters. I don't like them to pick up the color of my background a lot since I do so much ink blending. So I do really like this one. I've been playing with it a lot off screen, so I'm adding it to both backgrounds. I'm also going to do some gold splatters. Now this stuff, I don't know, I seen somewhere in a Facebook group somebody say that they absolutely love this for gold splatters. I found it on Amazon, thought I would give it a try. So I'm going to put a little bit on my work surface, mix it with water, just like I did with my splatter white. And I'm going to start with my other background. Since my rainbow one, the splatters were pretty fresh, still pretty wet. They didn't have a chance to dry a lot. I'm going to go back to my cool tone background. Again, kind of mixing this gold with the water and then adding the splatters. Now, I I'll admit I was not super happy with the gold on my cool toned background. It just didn't seem quite right to me. I probably should have gone more with a silver or more of a sparkle. So I didn't add a ton of splatters to that one. Now I brought back in the kind of more rainbow-ish looking one, added splatters, and that was okay. I think there's a time and place for gold. And again, I think I would have been more happy if I would have used more of a sparkle type of splatter for that. So while my backgrounds are drying, I am going to be stamping my sentiment. This is a sentiment off of the Wild and Free Flowers stamp set. Gorgeous sentiments. Again, very versatile, a lot of occasions on there, and the script is wonderful. So I'm stamping this again onto Hammermill Cardstock, and I'm using my Simon Says stamp Intense Black ink. I'm going to stamp it twice with the help of my Misty to make sure I'm getting that really nice crisp black. I'm going to use the coordinating die to die cut that out so I hold it in place with Easy C tape. I also went ahead and die cut out 2 more out of my white cardstock, and I'm going to layer them together using my liquid glue. So this is the Gina K Designs Connect glue that I have in a fine tip bottle, and I'm going to layer these together to help kind of build up that dimension and stability to the sentiment. I am using a media grip mat to kind of catch any excess glue. It's just a lot easier to clean up the glue from that media grip mat than it is my glass work surface. Now to create the actual shaker card, what I'm going to do is take the Hero Arts nesting rectangles. I found one rectangle set that is going to pretty much cover up that gold border that's going around the card front. So I am going to place this on a piece of cardstock. I think this is like a 120-pound cardstock. It's a pretty heavyweight white cardstock. And I'm making sure my margins are even all the way around the edge. Then I'm going to take that Easy C tape and I'm going to hold that down. So I like to put my tape on the die and then on the piece of the panel that I'm not needing. So here I want the frame. I'm going to have the tape touch the inside of that die. That way I don't have any sticky residue left on my frame. So I will actually do 2 of them because I need it for both cards. And this is going to cover up that gold frame nicely. Now, if you want the gold frame, you can totally leave that. I, for one, just really wanted a pop of white, I guess some more white to my card front. And I also wanted somewhere to hide all of my foam that I'm going to be using to create my shaker well. Now, before I do that, I flipped my frame over and I'm adding some double-sided tape all around the edges of this frame. Again, I will do it for both frames since I am creating 2 cards. I also like to take my finger and just push down really well, make sure that that double-sided tape is secured down really good, and then I use my craft pick to help remove the backing of that double-sided tape. Then I will be flipping this over and I'm going to carefully align this over the front of one of my panels, really paying attention to making sure that those gold edges or that gold frame is all covered up. I don't care if there's any acetate hanging off of the edges or the top because I can easily trim that down. I just really need that gold frame to be covered up. So here's where I'm just taking my scissors and trimming off any of that excess acetate, or you can use your paper trimmer, whatever way is easiest for you. Then to create our shaker panel, I am going to be using some foam strips. These are the Gina K Designs, I think they call them foam shaker strips. They are an absolutely perfect, I guess, depth for my shaker well. So I'm going to go around all the edges and you really want to make sure you're butting up your end right next to the previous piece because we don't want any of our shaker bits to slide out. So I like to use my scissors, trim off any excess, and if I have a little chunk or kind of a bigger chunk, I will save those onto that carrier sheet for any other uses because I can always use foam strips. So again, just going all the way around the edge of that cardstock, making sure that there's no gaps in between my foam. Then I'm going to grab one of my backgrounds and I am going to prep it with an anti-static powder tool, just lightly brushing that powder over. I thought maybe that would help my shaker bits move a little more easily, a little easier. I don't know the correct word. I just thought it would help the shaker bits move better. How's that? And here I have some of these iridescent stars. I'm not exactly sure where these were. I think they may have came in a card kit of some sort, but they are gorgeous. They're these small little stars and they're iridescent, great for a shaker mix. I linked something similar down below in the video description. You really just want to make sure you're kind of staying in the center of your card panel and also that you don't have a pile of them in one spot. You want to make sure they're kind of spread out evenly. Then I'm going to remove the backing of those foam strips and I'm going to align this over the top. I always kind of start like down in the bottom left-hand corner and kind of work my way across the panel. So you'll see me kind of start pushing down. You really want to make sure that that's secured down good so that none of those stars escape where they're supposed to be. Now, most cases, I end up not lining it up perfectly. I always have a little bit of my cardstock sticking out, and I'm just going to take my scissors and go around at the very outer edges and trim that off. I don't really like being able to see that from the top. I want my edges to be nice and clean. I really want the white to be visible. I don't want any of that blended panel peeking out on the edges. Then to finish this card off, I'm going to be adding the Hello Sunshine sentiment that I placed with some thin foam squares on the back. And using my reverse tweezers, I'm going to help kind of guide my placement to make sure that the margins are even on each side. And then just securing that down. And wow, look at those stars. It is so shiny and sparkly. I absolutely love how that came out. Now I'm going to finish this card off the exact same way. As I mentioned earlier, I was just going to kind of pop this up and not do a shaker, but those stars turned out so great that I just had to create another shaker. So again, I lined the back of my panel with the foam strips. I prepped the blended cardstock with the anti-static powder tool, and I'm going to be adding a bunch more of these stars to the background, just making sure that they're kind of in the center and not piled up on each other. And then remove the backing of your foam strips, line that up over the blended panel and secure it down to create that shaker. And I think this right here is where I fell in love with the rose gold. There was just something about it with the cool tones of the background that really made it stand out. I could really see the rose gold color. I think before I was struggling with it because it's just so reflective, but this is where I really fell in love with that rose gold. And now when I shake it, I have these beautiful iridescent stars in the background. They look great on both backgrounds. And these were just so quick and easy to do. And like I said, you don't even need to do blended panels. You could do pattern paper. You could do maybe some alcohol ink background, something like that. They're just really quick and easy way to put a card together. I hope you enjoyed today's video. I will have all of the supplies used in the video description down below and also on my blog. Thank you so much for joining me today.